Once again, it's Sunday. It's time to get the week started. So this is your Sunday start. And today, I'd like to talk about your circle of influence and why this is important. And this will help you because one of the things that really helped me was understanding who influenced me and why I permit that influence. So here's the thing. You have two circles. If you think about this as like a Venn diagram, you have one circle that represents those who influence you, those who have a credible voice in your life. And then you have the other Venn diagram, or the other circle in the Venn diagram, and that circle represents whom you influence. Because every one of us, I'm serious, every one of us has someone that we have influence over. So this is what I want to do is I want to take these two circles and identify the components of each one and then look at the converging zone between the two, and that will be your sweet spot. This is where you communicate effectively and where you're able to take a message that someone else is giving you and basically be able to share that with others. So the first thing is who influences you. One of the things that I've learned is that you simply cannot allow everybody to speak into your life. Let me see something here because, all right, so yeah, so actually you hear me. I was afraid that that maybe the sound was off, but anyway, you have to be very careful about who you allow to speak into your life. Because see, the thing is, some people speak life. Some people speak positive. Some people speak encouragement, edification. And those people who speak that into your life are the people you want to give, excuse me, the most credibility. Because those are the people who will speak something that will empower you to move forward and upward. Now, for me, this is basically when I allow someone to speak into my life, they typically have something that I don't have. Now, I'm going to say something here and it'll sound borderline arrogant, but it's not. And if you don't really understand this, go listen to me and Aaron Tomlinson's talk on Friday about ego. But I don't allow anyone to speak into my life who knows less than I do. In order for someone to speak into my life, they have to have something or be strong in something that I'm not. They have to be somewhere I'm not. Or they have to be somewhere where I'm going and I haven't arrived yet. Or I haven't passed through yet. I don't want to say arrive because life is more about the journey than the destination. So the people who speak into my life are typically they're very well tempered, they're highly intelligent, they're well studied, and they're generally positive people. Because that's the other thing too, is I don't allow anyone to speak into my life who speaks negatively. Listen, we all have to learn how to receive a critique. Because a critique is different from a criticism, because a critique will show you your weak spots or show you any areas where you could be stronger that helps you get better. Criticism, on the other hand, is simply designed to break you down. So I don't take criticism. And people say, well, you have to take constructive criticism. Well, in my estimation, your mileage may vary, in my estimation, a critique is the only constructive feedback that I accept. Now, the other thing too, when I talk about well-tempered, listen, I don't take advice from assholes. I just don't. There are some people, and let me explain this, because there was an article that I posted on LinkedIn about Steve Jobs and how people looked at Steve Jobs as being somewhat of an asshole. But he really wasn't. He just really understood the value of emotions and how to play it like a fiddle. He wasn't just deliberately negative. He had a mission that he was trying to achieve, and that he would only allow people in his space that would help him achieve that mission. People who aligned with his thoughts, with his goals. And listen, you don't necessarily want an echo chamber. In other words, people that are just agreeing with you. I have a lot of people that I disagree with. I have one friend that I've been friends with for 54 years. And we've taken different paths theologically. However, even though we don't disagree, or even though we don't agree on many things theologically, I still allow him a space in my life because he's a very intelligent guy. He knows me very well. We've been connected for a long time, and there are many more things that we agree on than we disagree on. But the thing is that I respect what he disagrees with me on. You follow what I'm saying? So he'll step in and say, well, D, I don't agree with that. And that's cool. I'm not looking for everyone to agree with me, and I'm not looking to resonate with everybody. We all are different in that regard. But the one thing that he does do is that his disagreement is always agreeable. At no point does he ever come in and try to disrespect me or browbeat me over what I believe. And I don't do the same to him. We have a very effective, long-lasting, symbiotic relationship. And he's certainly no echo chamber for me. So you don't necessarily want people who are going to agree with you on everything, but what you do want is people who are going to, their disagreement is agreeable, that their disagreement is something that'll sharpen you, that their disagreement is not something that will tear your relationship down. And if you have that, then those are the kind of people that you want in your sphere of influence, or that influence you, that may disagree with you. I have another friend who was a mentor. He's the guy that got me into talk radio, and he got me. He basically accelerated my journalistic career, that part of my life. And to this, I mean, right now, today, we used to agree on everything. I mean, we used to be spot on just about everything, and we've grown and diverged over the years, but he's definitely no echo chamber. But he'll come in and he'll say what he has to say, and he says, hey, D, I disagree. And it's cool. We work through that. But I respect everything else about him, and I don't sacrifice our relationship on the altar of the disagreement. That's really important. So that's those who influence you. You have to make sure that the people who are influencing you, that they are all about your good, and they're all about helping you achieve your greatest and highest potential. Okay? Now, the second circle is, who do you influence? And one of the things that you have to be careful of is, don't give unsolicited advice. In other words, don't give somebody something that they're not asking for. Now, let me explain this in the context of social media, because everybody needs to see this. If you are connected to someone on social media, then that means either you are willing to exchange ideas with them, or you simply haven't seen enough of them to decide that you don't need them in your life. And again, what you don't want to do is give unsolicited advice. Now, I'm frequently accused of giving this unsolicited advice because of the things that I post on social media. But what I always do is I give people the option. Listen, you are under absolutely no obligation to follow what I post. However, you do not have the right to try to contradict what I'm posting. You can cite your disagreement. I can acknowledge your disagreement, and then we can move merrily onward, where you have made your point, I have received your point and either considered it or decided not to consider it and moved on. And that's the mature way of doing things. It's no point in arguing because in most cases, I'm not going to change your mind and you're not going to change mine. I mean, basically, we kind of are where we are. And here's the other thing is that in order for you to have a change of heart, it has to be something that you come to. And likewise, when you're dealing with others, it has to be something they come to. I can tell you there are people who have said things to me 3-4 years ago that when they said this, I was like, oh, hell no. No, that absolutely not. That doesn't work. No, 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 no. That's how I was, right? But fast forward, and over time, I was able to consider what they said, analyze it, process it against what I already knew, and then made a determination within myself whether this new information was superior to the old information that I had and that it could displace it. If you cannot, listen, let me say something too, that you have to be willing and able to entertain a thought that is contrary to what you believe or contrary to what you think and be able to either hold your own opinion in spite of that or be open enough to consider the possibility that what you've just heard is superior to what you already knew. And again, when we're out in the world, social media or real life, that we don't want to give unsolicited advice. I have seen people that they were in a phone call and they're having a blow up with a loved one or with a colleague or with a customer. And there is something in me many times that says, hey, I have a point on that might help. But what I've learned is that unless I'm asked, I don't offer. And here's why. Because even the best advice can be improperly received. And in that case, what will happen is that your best intentions will be totally disregarded and cast off because they are not appreciated. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the way a TI is. You know, basically, when somebody needs your advice, when they need your counsel, they'll come to you and ask. But when someone comes to me and says, hey, Derrick, what do you think about A, B, and C? Then I'll give a response to that. But I'm not going to come in and try to tell you or impose on you or impress upon you what I think. And here's the other thing too, is that I only give advice. Basically, I have a very binary decision tree. That if I give some advice and the advice is not received, if I'm solicited, if I'm asked, and I'm asked for the advice, I give the advice. If the advice is not taken, at that point I make up my mind that I'm not going to give the advice ever again. Because I'm not trying to get into an endless loop with someone about, well, Derrick, what do you think about this? And okay, I've heard this and I disregard it. Because what that is that's really a waste of my time. Okay. So the people that I influence, I only influence those who ask for my influence. Because, and again, if you don't like what I say, well, then you're free to disregard it. But you're not free to try to tell me what to say. It's kind of the way it works. So when you take your influencers and then take the people whom you influence, there's a convergence zone in this imaginary Venn diagram. And in this is your sweet spot. This is where you if you're really paying attention, this is where you refine your message to the world. This is where you are able to take everything that you hear that influences you, that moves you, that encourages you, that edifies you, that educates you, and you're able to take all of this and process it within your own decision matrix and then push this out. It's like push content. If you don't know what that is, feel free to look it up. I'm not going to explain it. But it's like push content, and now you're able to take this content and share it with others. And what that does is not only does it sharpen your ability to hear and your ability to process, but it also sharpens your ability to process and to disseminate. This is, man, I'll tell you, this is advice that I would have paid to understand in my 20s or 30s. Because I really thought that because I was smart, because I was articulate, because, that somehow I should be able to influence wide swaths of people. And what I learned is that not everybody is called to influence me, and I'm not called to influence everyone. So the people who I allow to speak into my life, they are making deposits in me that help sharpen me, that help bring me to better focus. And because of this, I'm able to take this message or these messages, these disparate messages that I've received, and process them into a message that I'm able to share with others. And if you get that, what'll happen is you're going to find that your ability to communicate with others is going to be vastly improved, because you'll have a filter by which you know what to intake or what to induct into your own reasoning and your own logic, and you'll know what to publish to others. Because whenever you say something or do something, you're actually publishing an idea, publishing a thought, publishing a paradigm. And if you understand what's important to you as far as what you're receiving, then you'll understand what to push out. Now, this is where it gets sideways, because this is the caveat, the caution, right? Because there are a lot of people who want to speak into your life that have no business speaking into your life. Because they will either tell you everything that you say is wrong, or they will tell you everything that you say is right. And in either case, you either have a complete opposition problem, or you have an echo chamber, and neither one of those is good for you. And what will happen is that if what you hear is, or what you receive is only negative, then that means you're only going to pass out negative information. What you subscribe to is what you're going to publish. Okay? And if it's all positive, then basically if all you have is an echo chamber, then nothing sanity checks what you say or what you believe. Then when you put something out there, you're going to expect that everybody just simply agrees with it. And what will happen is, in either case, you're going to be frustrated. You'll be frustrated because you're frustrating people, or you'll be frustrated because what you're putting out is not being received. So look at your sphere of influence. And one of my dear friends, he was talking about, he's trying to publish a book, and he was trying to get someone to help him edit the book. And what he discovered was that the vast majority of the people around him were either not available, to help him or not capable of helping. And you got to understand there's a difference between that too, between ability and capacity, right? So I said to him, and I've said this to many others, that if you are the smartest person in your circle, you need a bigger circle. I'm so grateful for me that I'm surrounded by some truly, truly brilliant, I mean, absolutely ridiculously brilliant people. And this brilliance that they have, it's something that I invite into my life because it's something that helps to grow me. And so I'm constantly looking for opportunities to broaden my circle because I don't ever want my circle to become stagnant where I'm listening to the same voices all the time. You have to have new voices to either help confirm what you already know or to challenge what you already know. And again, you have to be able to entertain a thought without necessarily relinquishing what you think. Okay? So I think that that's pretty much it. Look at your sphere of influence. Look at who's influencing you and look at who you influence. And make sure that the people who are influencing you are people whom you give credibility to. And then make sure the people whom you're influencing that they are receiving what you have to say. Because if they're not receiving what you have to say, then basically you're likely giving unsolicited advice, and that is not going to end well. That just ends in no happiness. So this week in my daily videos in the Forward Daily at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which we went through daylight savings time. So now Arizona, we're back on mountain time because we don't do daylight savings. But at 10 a.m. on Derrick Day Multimedia, there will be a daily video. And this week, the subject matter is going to be getting your ship together. S-H-I-P, not S-H-I-T. But getting your ship together and why that is important. That will absolutely help many of you. And of course, if you watch it, that's great. And if you don't, then that means it's not for you. And it's either way, it's cool. But be sure to check that out. And also, be sure to check out this week's edition of the Heretic Happy Hour, where Katie Valentine and we took over the podcast for one episode, and it's absolutely dope. So make sure you check that out. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to instant message me, or you can go to my website at www.derrickday.com and click the contact link and fill out the form, and it'll send me an email. And if you send me an email, I promise you I will reply. So that's about it. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic week. Check your influence and check who you're influencing. Big thing. Peace.